Member for Oakville Gordon Head.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise to take my place and continue the debate on Bill 8, Lobbyists Registration Amendment Act 2017. Honourable Speaker, last Thursday, as I was noting the hour, I was coming to near an end of the issues I wish to raise in this bill. But please let me just expand a little bit more upon something that I think is very important that government has announced that it will do. One of the key aspects of this bill is not so much what's in the bill, it's a very good first step, but also that the government has committed to undertaking a review of lobbying in general. While it's not in the legislation, this is being put forward by government as a means of us moving forward to account for some of the areas that have not been covered here. For example, we'll come to one in a second, and I would like to note, Honourable Speaker, that the BC Green Caucus will be delighted, well, will soon be called the BC Green Caucus, I hope, if the Constitution Amendment Act changes, but we'll be participating in this review as we have some ideas that we'd like to explore in further discussions. And one of these priorities for further changes that we'd like to explore, Honourable Speaker, is dealing with actual versus expected lobbying. So as it stands now, Honourable Speaker, the bill doesn't really address the transparency issue. The bill articulates still and remains that you are supposed to register who you're going to lobby, Honourable Speaker. And as we know, various lobbyists will sign up to register to lobby all 86. Sorry, Honourable Speaker, I forgot one member's seat is open. We will sign up to lobby all 86 members here, and the public really wants to know who is being lobbied by who, not whether somebody is lobbying anybody. And transparency isn't met in this registry system because of the fact we don't actually know who is lobbied. Now, Honourable Speaker, I recognize that the bill before us is called the Lobbyists Registration Amendment Act, and the whole framework of the bill is such that it's designed as a registry as opposed to a list of who you've lobbied, and it would require substantive changes throughout the entire Act were we to actually start to note who was actually lobbied rather than registering as a lobbyist per se. You know, Honourable Speaker, the Elizabeth Denham's 2013 report had some words attributed to the media, a media spokesperson that I won't mention, whose name I won't mention, and it said the following: the current system creates a smokescreen about who is really being lobbied. We should be able to search the registry and find out who was actually lobbied, when and where. Honourable Speaker, we support that. I support that. My colleagues, we've spoken about this, and I'm sure my friend from Cowichan Valley, who will speak shortly, will reaffirm that we support this recommendation as articulated in the quote that I just did. Again, expecting to lobby as opposed to who you actually lobbied, we'd like to see that be report who you actually lobbied within 10 days, is something that we hope as we move forward in this discussion process we'll be able to have input in. Finally, there is no code of conduct in the actual legislation for lobbyists. Again, this is something that we will be looking to push. That is actually the development of a code of conduct. Now, we recognize a bill is probably not the right place to embed an entire code of conduct, but we're looking to see if we can enable the registrar to come up with a code of conduct that will be made available to lobbyists, and they would be expected to follow that code of conduct in their lobbying efforts. And finally, we want to look a little bit at government accountability and what role ministers play in confirming lobbying and that actually may have taken place. We think that there can be some further measures taken there to expand upon transparency. So obviously, Honourable Speaker, I will be standing and voting in support of this bill because it takes important first steps towards the reform of our lobbying in British Columbia. I look forward to further discussions with it at committee stage, and I particularly look forward to the discussions that will ensue as we develop this comprehensive review of lobbying registration in British Columbia in the months ahead. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.